Let's talk a little bit more about ways to hook the reader. So, your hook is the first thing in your introduction. So, when you're writing an expository essay, you're writing an essay to explain something using an example or examples. So, for instance, in this essay, you're writing an essay explaining why it is important to focus on the things you can change. So, your hook is your chance to kind of give a little bit more of that creativity into your expository writing. So, just a couple of ways that you can hook the reader. These aren't the only ways, but just some basic ones to hook the reader, or start with an imagine statement. So, for this particular prompt, an imagine statement would be something like, imagine a world where everyone focused on being the change they could be instead of focusing on the negative. So this is how I could hook my reader with an imagine statement. Imagine a world where everyone focused on being the change they could be instead of focusing on the negative. So this is a possible hook. From this hook, then I would go to my glue statement, where I would say something like, that is the type of world that I would like to be a part of, or that's the type of world that everybody dreams to be a part of. And then you would go into your controlling idea. It is important to focus on the things you can change because, and then your reasons. So that's the first way that you can hook the reader, an imagine statement. The second way you could hook the reader is through the use of figurative language. You could use a simile, or you could use a metaphor, anything like that. So you could say something like, focusing on the things you can change in life is like, and you could continue with a simile, or you could change this into a metaphor. This type of hook is effective, especially if you continue that figurative language talk throughout your essay. Okay, so you have an imagine statement that you could start with, you have figurative language that you could start with. Another type of hook is a rhetorical question. So, a rhetorical question is a question that's not meant to be answered. A rhetorical question is not meant to be answered. It is meant to make you think. Okay, so a rhetorical question is not, do you think it's important to focus on the things you can change? Because I can say yes or no. A rhetorical question is not meant to be answered. So a rhetorical question about change would be something like, how would life be different if everyone focused on the things they could change? That's a rhetorical question. It's not really meant to be answered. It's meant to make me think. Okay, so imagine statement, figurative language, rhetorical question. And now another one is a personal experience. And I put this big caution sign here. That's on a road sign. That means caution, because you have to be very careful with personal experience, they can be extremely effective in an essay. However, you have to be careful that you keep them very short and that you get to the point. You don't want to go, because your introduction is not the main part of your essay. The introduction is actually a very short part of your essay. The meat of your essay is the body paragraphs, or are the body paragraphs, excuse me. So if you're going to use a personal experience for your hook, you need to keep it short and you need to get to the point. For this essay, however, I think you could bring in a personal experience because we're living in a time where if we don't focus on the things we can change, then we can get bogged down because we're living during a pandemic. So if you wanted to bring in a personal experience, you could say something about living during COVID-19 has taught me that there are things that I have no control over. And then you would go on with your glue. So living during COVID-19 has taught me that there are things that I have no control over. However, if I'm always thinking about the things that I can't do right now, that I can't go to school, that I can't hang out with my friends, that I can't do this, then I could find myself getting depressed. It is important to focus on the things you can change because, and then you're telling me your reasons. So that would have been your introduction. So these are 4 ways that you could possibly hook the reader for this essay. So I hope that this helps you get started.